beginning of the study, right? For the video's sake, right? So what we went through, again, what we are going through is the Innocentinian head of the papacy. This is the fifth head of the papacy. In Revelation 13, the papacy has 7 heads. And we have reached the fifth head of the papacy. Now all the heads that we went through, we saw the Roman Catholic papacy fight against God's 7-day Sabbath, where they denigrated the Sabbath and exalted Sunday. And eventually they did away with the Sabbath. And after that, the papacy spent its time growing in its influence, exercising authority over kings, over emperors, over countries, over churches. And the papacy has been growing in its influence and authority over the years in history. So we have reached to the point where the Innocentinian head under Pope Innocent III, in history it is known as the noonday of pontifical glory. Meaning this is the highest period in history where the Roman Catholic papacy was exalted. They have reached where they have exalted power over kings and emperors, and they wanted to be head of all the churches. And any church within its limits was persecuted. They did not get to enjoy the liberty of conscience. So thus, these 2 orders were established, where one carried out the murderous persecutions of a lot of Christians who were opposed to the errors of the Catholic Church, and the other practiced extreme poverty to counteract the violences and brought sodomy into the church clergy. And we saw the video where today, in all the news networks today, they are speaking about the pedophilia in the porn ring, as Brother William said, in the Catholic clergy that they are trying to cover up for so many years. Right, brethren? So you want to
you mentioned something about the end, and no one knows when the end is coming, but and even like with destruction, like the Lord said destruction before, He said warning before destruction. And then we had like an earthquake the other day. They talk about the earthquake being worse than the other earthquakes we had before. You know, and I mean, this is what the Sovereign Lord says: if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sins and heal their land. He's calling us back to a place of prayer, a place like never before, where, you know, back to our face, back to our knees, to cry out for forgiveness for our land. Because, I mean, so much damage took place when we had that earthquake, and there's going to be more to come. And if we don't come to that place of prayer and cry out for forgiveness for our land, how is our land going to be healed? You know, how are we going to be prepared for when He comes? You know, and He's also asking us to turn from those wicked ways, you know, like divination, witchcraft, murdering, lying, stealing, all these different kind of things, so our land can be healed. So, you know, I mean, the end time is, we do see that the end time is near, and we do, because the Bible talks about things, what will happen before the end time comes, before He comes back. So we have to be prepared for that end time.
Just to put a constructor what the sisters say, we must always remember that Jesus said He did not pray for the world. And then secondly, remember, He says, evil men and sinners will what? Season and what? Right, so the scripture that the sister applied to us as Christians, but we are not to look for the world to be healed. Because it will get worse until we shut it. But as Christians, it applies to us. Okay? The evangelicals are the ones that are looking for the world to heal. That's why they're seeking to take over. And that's why they will enforce Sunday to make people go back to go to church by law, hoping to heal the world. But we don't want the world cannot be what heal. And Jesus did not pray for healing the world. But for us, so the scripture report actually applies to us as Christians and
The Catholic Church is in a state of upheaval tonight. A newly released letter by a former Vatican ambassador to the U.S., Carlo Vigano, claims that Pope Francis and other top officials of the Church knew of the allegations of sexual abuse against Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, the Archbishop of Washington, and they knew it for years.
An intense legal battle has played out between my office and individuals who have concealed their identities through sealed court filings. These petitioners, and for a time some of the dioceses, sought to prevent the entire report from ever seeing the light of day. In effect, they wanted to cover up the cover-up.
The first Pennsylvania statewide investigation into abuses by Catholic priests is expected to be released any day now. The grand jury report details allegations against more than 300 predator priests in 6 dioceses, covering more than 1.7 million parishioners. Attorney General Josh Shapiro led the 18-month-long investigation.
How old were you when your abuse began?
I was 10.
13, 14.
16 through 18.
17, 18.
16.
My son was 15 when it started. His hell was right here on earth.
Judy Devon says the death of her son Joey 3 years ago can be traced to what happened to him as a teenager.
Because of the way he was, and I'm not going to say abused, I'm going to say the way he was raped. At age 17, his back was injured. There was nothing they could do surgically. And because of the pain medication, his death was caused by an accidental overdose.
The word abuse gets thrown around. We're talking rapes.
Julianne Bortz and Mary McHale both say they were molested by priests at their Catholic high schools.
My abuser, when he took his collar off, he told me that he could do whatever he wanted to do.
And you believed him, your child.
And I believed him, yeah.
The collar is still a trigger for me. They murdered something in me. Something died. Everything I believed died.
How many of you believe that right now a child is being abused at the hands of a priest? How does this happen?
It appears that there's something in the DNA of the church that encourages this.
James Faluzak says he witnessed the church's secrecy and sex abuse cover-ups firsthand, not only as a victim, but also during his 18 years in the priesthood. You became a priest after being abused by one. Why?
I felt called to be a priest, and it was almost as if it was a completely separate issue. As I made my way through ministry, it became very clear to me that this was a systemic issue, almost like a contagion, that this was an epidemic.
How does this happen?
It appears that there's something in the DNA of the church that encourages this. It became very clear to me that this was a systemic issue, almost like a contagion, that this was an epidemic.
The outing of Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, the most high-profile cleric yet to be touched by the homosexual priest sex abuse scandal, has come as no surprise to various leaders in the church. That's because they already knew. Everybody knew. It was, as the saying goes, an open secret. While McCarrick was Bishop of Metuchen and then Newark, New Jersey later, he had a beach house in the state that was notorious for him taking seminarians there and forcing himself sexually on them. Some of the seminarians threatened suit, and the church settled with them privately. McCarrick, as part of the Chicago Cardinal Joseph Bernardine big gay machine, he factors large in the conversion of the American priesthood and episcopacy into a gay profession, as the New York Times has called it. Details have now emerged that this particular incident involved McCarrick, get this, molesting a teenage altar boy in St. Patrick's Cathedral as the boy was vesting for midnight mass. But this particular case, which deserves justice, and hopefully the New York Archdiocese has to pay through the nose for it, serves as a springboard for the ongoing discussion of the need to keep gay men out of the priesthood. It also serves as a springboard for an even larger discussion on the clerical groupthink that goes on every day to protect errant clergy, even in the face of scandalous sins. A lot of people in the church knew about McCarrick. Even the laity knew. And if laity know, you know darn good and well that priests and their bishops knew all about it. There were occasions at McCarrick's Jersey Shore beach house where other clergy were there joining in the sexual assaults. And McCarrick was not alone in this by any stretch. In fact, it seems so many bishops are doing this kind of thing that to not have been engaged in it would have been the odd man out.
How does this happen?
It appears that there's something in the DNA of the church that it became very clear to me that this was a systemic issue, almost like a contagion, that this was an epidemic.
That man who knows speaking there, he served for a month 18 years. The guy was the last man, kind of fat man. He said he started to eat everything. And he now coming out to talk about that. I mean, I just try to understand how then they could see something like that and have an understanding. And for 18 years, it's like you look in the seat for yourself first before you talk about it. And that's a very terrible thing.
And then, look how old a lot of them it means they kept it secret for years, and what they were saying is that when some people were going to expose the priest, they were paid off to secure the reputation of the Catholic Church and the priest and so on.
So then they would rather, so then what about other people? Your situation happened and you going to be paid off to stay quiet. But that's for you, but what will happen to other people when you say they happen?
That's the thing. So you know, brethren, at the end of it, it's the carnal mind, and some people just seek, sometimes out of fear, and sometimes for their own self-interest. But you know, at the end of the day, notice the guy said, when the woman asked him why, he said it seems like it's in the DNA of the Catholic Church. It seems like it's an epidemic, something contagious. So I don't know what. But this was all started by St. Francis of Assisi. He was a sodomite, and he is still called St. Francis today. The St. Franciscan order in the Catholic Church today started by him. He was canonized as a saint. So the Catholic Church did not condemn his sodomy, they rather endorsed it. So therefore, the other clergy coming up throughout the years would not feel condemned in what they do. They would feel like it's okay to do it. Right? And that is the state of the Catholic Church today. Right? The sodomy in the clergy is still rampant today. And there's a lot of investigation going on to expose them for some people to get some kind of justice.
I remember a while ago when I was where I was born, she was a nun, but she went to the Catholic Church to become a child, and they got a child. But her parents were trying to Catholic Church. And some of them were so highly sick that they think that what they are doing, or they think being in the Catholic Church is what happened, they are going to go to them. And even though they have to do sometimes even our parents didn't know. And they think it's so highly sick, they want to be so highly sick that they think this is a war, they understand the detection really high. It's really high. And not all of them have the courage to come out. And it goes further than even the sexual abuse. There is a torture sometimes too. Right? So sometimes it's the parents might take the bribe and leave the child in the church to deal with what they have to do. Sometimes the child goes in some young and they're more than they encourage to start about something. Some people don't have that strength, that's the way others come forth, they come forth along with them. But the system I know are really kind sector. People take the focus, don't want to do it, and all these things, you know? That's the system I know.
I must say, as I look at it, you know, I have seen videos where people, you know, they play back in whole scenario, and this man was saying that, you know, the priest will go and carry on and so on. And when he's done, he will come upstairs and do it immorality. And I like, oh my God. You know, but no kind of conviction, you know, and with me personally, that's been a kind of sufficient thing. I think about people going through things like that, and I always say I could never live on an environment like that. I can't live with a neighbor who's beating his wife. I must do something. You know, if you can't live with those kind of things, you must have taken things from you. And you must speak out, you must do something. You can't just sit down and take that. You know, it is a real suffocating when you see things like that. Living children and no God and going through this kind of thing and when you're getting on it, nothing is wrong with that. You know, I'm always trying to cover up and hide it. It's a real terrible thing, but it's a real terrible thing.
And we all have to remember that the psyche of the Pope is not like you and I here today.
Yeah, that's true.
To be a Pope to sit in the office claiming to be God on earth. It is a damning society. And the priests and the subordinates, because when they say that magical prayer, remember we went to that last week, when they say that magical prayer, that little bread turns into the blood, divinity, and soul of Jesus Christ, and we went to the many courts, where they claim so much power, they can create the creator. So it takes a different kind of psyche to be a priest and to be a pope in a Catholic church, unless they are the few who have conviction to get out, right?
One more thing I want to like to say. That's what you said, like if it is almost in DNA. You know, one thing to do with DNA is to do with genes and different things like that, genetics. We have information here that this thing is nothing to do with that. That's important, right? We have two straps showing that this has nothing to do with good genes and DNA and all that. It's a matter of a person's choice. And this is why the Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9 or 9, something there, where it says, and such were some of you, but you have been washed, you have been justified, and sanctified. So there be no people that hold that view, that somehow we're born that way, and that cannot have the look at that all. Not the look.
Well, what was thinking about, right? When the guy gets the DNA and change, to me, DNA was like something, right? It's what they possess. So I didn't think you can't definitely belong. And it's true, because when the Catholic people that having a conscience, they condemn conscientiousness, all true. They don't want anybody to. This is what I'm talking about. Going and saying something and speaking of that is based upon your conscience. You know you have a conscience that's what is working upon. And you have to say something about what people is being done. Make it more for in the truth, right? But remember in Catholic Church, they focus on something of men of conscience. So when you in the church now, and they teach you that whatever the priest do is right, whatever the priest say is right, you cannot question anything that comes from out of the place. You just have to sit down there and basically just accept. Like I was right? Just accept whatever it is they say and they do as truth and right. So somebody needs to be getting hurt and you know about it. More people tell that person to be quiet. This is a board because when I watch the videos and I watch the documentaries, you see people that go to them the same thing. They thought that what the priest was doing, that God wanted this to happen to them, and it is right to come to them because maybe they saw it, but this needed to be done to purify them and set a nonsense. And even some of the things, when you're doing them and they're talking, you can see somewhere in the line they have not totally given up on the doctrines of this church at all. They still have some kind of retrospect or something that holds them there to believe God knows that they know it is wrong, somebody will be somebody. But it's a priest that have been seen. So, you know, we can balance it up.
The church of Matter, we must have the church has nothing to do with the episode of God. It was simply created as a form of control, like I said the last time. It was the mixed pagan and Christianity to get to control the pagans and Christians at the same time. The thing about it is to reach higher than a bishop, I think it's a bishop, to reach higher than a bishop, they're supposed to do, how to say, sodomatic things in a courtroom. It's a ritual they do. They reach higher because what they want to do is become an abomination. So God cannot use you to change anything with your own. When there's abomination, God will use you directly. So they just want them to become abomination so that nothing will change. They will continue with the evil. So just doing that thing there. Of course afterwards, because they're demonic now, they're the abomination, they will do it again and the real boy is easier to use. Correct. So you could never bring things to the light because you will be too.
Because the legacy of Vatican. A lot of the people who were colonized, their parents were paid off, and they went
speak out so that if the lawyers were negotiating with the Vatican lawyers to pay off these people who these victims was sodomized. But what the Vatican did, why this coming out as a big scandal is because the Vatican refused to pay. In a lot of cases, the Vatican said that they are not paying because telling and the Vatican telling right? So some of them is free, yeah? So then for them, because the Vatican is paying and now coming out to say, so what happened? It was not affecting people. So if they're not getting paid, so they're suddenly playing victims. Right. So it's false doctrine influencing these people. Right. So that's why the lawyer, the prosecutor said they're going to use some that covering the cover, they're trying to cover the cover. Right. So therefore, they use the morality. That is how they cover down by paying. But now since they can't pay, and they still want to cover down the people coming. Right? So that's why this person now they are told out. Even though we were affected and it's only the morality, but he is coming out, it's only when victims are covered, they don't come out because it's the that's what it is. Right. So brethren, all these things that we are seeing in the recent news, again, St. Francis of Assisi, still canonized as a saint today. He was a sodomite in the clergy of the Catholic Church. We have to move on now, right? Next. Belmont boy, Belmont here, right? It's no longer Belmont boy, St. Francis College, is not the college. St. Francis of Assisi College. Yeah. That's the name of it right now. Right. Wow. So, next to the Innocentinian Head, we have Dominic de Guzman. Dominic de Guzman, known as Saint Dominic today. You hear the word Saint Dominic? It is Dominic de Guzman. He was canonized as a saint by Gregory IX, and he laid the foundation for what we know as the Inquisition today. He was the great persecutor of the Waldenses in the name of the Catholic Church. Brethren, these people is not, when you hear Saint Dominic, he was not a saint. You see this word here? Dogs of war. He had a partner, Simon de Montfort. Dominic de Guzman and Simon de Montfort in history is known as the dogs of war. These two men carried out the persecution of the Waldenses and the Albigenses. They would go to, why they call them dogs of war? You see how police carry around dogs and sniff out people? They would go house to house and drag women, child, old man, old woman, everyone drag them out of their house to persecute them. Right? This is Dominic de Guzman. So Dominic de Guzman, canonized as a saint, his principles laid the foundation for the holy office of the Inquisition, founded in 1233 or so. Right? Whose merciless officials were the Dominican monks. So they formed an office called the Office of the Inquisition, the Holy Office of the Inquisition. And the officials of that office were Dominican monks, right? So first, he started off so-called Christendom heresy, right? So he and others from another order, this Cistercian order, they would have public debate with these Christians, with the Albigenses, with the Waldenses. They didn't just stick them in their mind. Right? The Albigenses, the Waldenses, they would have public debates with these Christians. And they could not defeat them, so they resorted to violence. They either had to recant or they would be brutally persecuted. Right? So he started off preaching on heresy, but when he could not defeat the Albigenses, who stood on the word of God, he got permission from Pope Innocent III to hold court to try all suspected of heresy. However, when the court failed, the Pope let loose the dogs of war. Dominic de Guzman and Simon de
the Montfort. Then followed 20 years of frightful carnage, during which hundreds of thousands of heretics were slain, many cities were laid waste by fire and sword. And that was a quote from Dominic de Guzman's order, Heretic Inquisition, Heresy Monks, years, page 1. Right? So I'll just read a few quotes concerning Dominic de Guzman. So this again is taken from, this is taken from the same Dominic de Guzman order, Heretic Inquisition, Heresy Monk, years, page 1. It says, what part Dominic personally had in these bloody proceedings is legated history. His admirers tried to rescue his memory from the charge that he was a cruel and bloody man. So up to today, historians try to rescue his reputation, trying to paint him like some kind of saint. But in history, he was known as a cruel and a bloody man. He is by no means absolved from all complicity in those frightful slaughters or from all responsibility for the subsequent establishment of the Holy Inquisition. The principles governing the Inquisition were practically those upon which Dominic proceeded. The gems of later atrocities are to be found in his aims and methods. The Holy Office of the Inquisition was made a permanent tribunal by Gregory IX in the same year, 1233, when Dominic was canonized. That is 12 years after the death of Dominic, right? So Dominic died 12 years after Gregory IX canonized Dominic as a saint and opened the office of the Inquisition. And the Holy Office of the Inquisition was run on the very same principles that Dominic operated when he slaughtered millions of Christians. Right? It says, Catholic Bolandis claimed that although the title of the Inquisition was of later date than Dominic, yet the office was in existence and the splendor of the Holy Inquisition owed its beginning to that saint. Right? So I'll stop there, right? Because it's a very long quote. Right? The final part of the quote, I'll just read it. It says, it is fatally associated with the blackest horrors of the crusade against the Albigenses, as well with the infernal skill and deadly machinery of the Inquisition. So this man here, so-called Saint Dominic, he was responsible for the persecution. He was like the leading man who was lead out in the persecution of the Waldenses and the Albigenses, right? And he had a helper, Simon de Montfort. I'll just read a quote about him and Simon de Montfort. It is taken from Louis Marie de Comenin, A Complete History of the Popes of Rome, page 463. It says, the counts of Toulouse and Fox, that's two places in France where people were influenced by the Waldensians and the Albigenses. The counts of Toulouse and Fox also appeared before the fathers, demanding justice against the infamous Simon de Montfort, who had seized upon the estate and in concert with St. Dominic was continuing his massacres of the unfortunate Albigenses. Far from showing any indignation at the recital of the atrocities committed by his legate, the Pope fiercely replied that he had but executed his orders and he could not hear this. So when these some noblemen from Toulouse and Fox, two places in France, Simon de Montfort and Dominic seized their estate. And when they went to Pope Innocent to complain and said, look at what your legates are doing, murdering these Christians, seizing our estate, here before much zeal in their holy mission. And orthodox meaning true or proper in worship and doctrine. So Pope Innocent said these true Christians who do the proper thing, he cannot stop them from showing their zeal in their mission. That's what the reply of the Pope. It continues. He, however, appeared to yield to the urgency of these two laws and engaged to re-establish in their domain a false promise, since at that very moment he was sending secret orders to Dominic and Simon de Montfort to redouble their severities towards the Albigenses. So this wicked Pope Innocent III, when the two lords come to Luxembourg, went to appeal to him. Look, Dominic and de Montfort took away our estate. They're brutally murdering these Christians. Pope Innocent said, I can't stop these from carrying out their holy zeal. And then he appeared as if he's going and re-established them back to have their estate. And he secretly sent out orders to Dominic and de Montfort and said, double your effort. Double your effort. So this man was deceitful, he was wicked. Pope Innocent II, right? Yes, Pope Innocent. Right? So, I read another quote. This is taken from Andrew Miller, Miller's Church History, page 502. Andrew Miller, Miller's Church History, page 502. It says, we have already spoken of Dominic's labors in the Albigensian territory. There he spent 10 years in endeavoring to root out heresy. Like dogs of a keen scent, the Dominicans from house to house searching for prey to feed the sword of Simon de Montfort and the fires which they had kindled. Dominic's great achievements secured for him the favor of the pontiffs Innocent III and Honorius III. We'll go on to Pope Honorius after the World War III, right? Who established him in the privileges of a founder. He died in 1221, but before he quitted the scene of his cruelties, no fewer than 60 monasteries of his order had sprung up in various regions of Christendom. So before Dominic died, 60 monasteries were set up in different regions of his order, the Dominican order. He was canonized by Gregory IX in 1223. The fearful tribunals of the Inquisition, directly or indirectly, we doubt not, owed its origin to Dominic. And the most numerous and merciless of its officials belonged to his brotherhood. So Dominic died in 1221, but before he died, 60 churches, 60 monasteries was reared up to him and his Dominican order. Right, brethren? And his partner, Simon de Montfort, they were known as the dogs of war, and they carried out the murderous events of the Albigensian Christians. Right?
Mentioned the term dogs of war. I recall that a politician in Trinidad, not too long ago, used that same phrase in the effort to unleash police to try to calm situation that was sometimes more important thing than mobile liberty. He used that phrase to release the dogs of war. Now sometimes people use phrase and maybe they really do not know the original meaning of it, or probably they know. But here we learn in history, two men in history who were known as the dogs of war was Fatima for destroying human rights, murdering people, taking away the private property and so on. And here you have a politician using that same phrase, right? Related to the police action of people in for the same year.
So if they use terms not knowing the geography of where those terms came from, right? So, as I said before, brethren, that was the introduction for the Innocentinian Head of the papacy, right? However, during this head, the Waldenses and the Albigenses were brutally persecuted. And I didn't just want to just mention that they were persecuted. I wanted to actually go into some things about them, who they are, where they were from, what they believe, how they live, and view the Innocentinian Head and the works of all these folks through their eyes. Because these are Christians that have to be taken note of in history, because history, the Roman Catholic Church has sort of blocked out any records of these Christians. Right? So we have to go into them because we owe a lot to these people here.
How would we characterize the Dominican order? So when we hear about the Dominican order, how would we characterize it? How are they to be looked at?
The Dominican order has to be looked at as a murderous order responsible for the murder of not hundreds but thousands and millions of Christians. This is not just some kind of nice order in the Catholic Church where you see, you know, you go to certain places like monks and Benedict, or there's the Benedict order, but you see certain Catholic monks and oh, they look so pious and they look so, you know, ethical. No, the Dominican order is not no pious order in the Catholic Church with no saint. There is no Saint Dominic. These people were murderers, genocidal people. Right? So, the whole landscape. Now, I'll start off with two quotes from Sister White, and then we'll look at a very short video of the whole landscape, right? So, the whole landscape. This is taken from someone in the back. Go ahead.
You make a statement there just now, according to the statement this brother here made, concerning what the politician used dogs of war, right? And you said they use words which you don't really understand. But how do we know that they don't really understand? They might really understand the word, right? Take it from me, right or wrong. I know what is taking place in this world now. These politicians and them, they don't worship God, right? And we just a few years, 2-3 years before the Sunday law come out, and it's these same politicians that will use the same laws that we're speaking about it now. What happened? In order to hunt it out from the little cave where we are hiding, right? So they are not innocent, and these people, they don't worship Satan. They exercise the full powers of Satan. While and Jesus tells us that they clothe themselves in sheep clothing, but they are raising wolves, right? So then we can compromise with them when we read the things that they do and what is taking place now, because you see what is about 70 years in California, the priests and them having sex with little boys and little girls, right? They're breeding little children and forcing them to have abortion, right? Some of them, they're hiding them and killing them right now in the Vatican. The people in Europe, the people and them, the young girls and them that are pregnant, right? And they go to the fathers and them to get help. Once they are not married, they keep them in wherever they have to keep them, they make the child and they kill them. They kill baby, they kill mother, right? And this thing is sick, this thing happening years now. You understand? And the world is even talking about it. The world is talking about it. The people like you here in this church here, and the people outside. You see Brother Rodriguez on on YouTube, right? It's like a watchdog to bring out all the secrets of the Vatican. And we have to live here at the same places. So you see, what God brings to you in a little knowledge for we to understand and know, is for we to get ourselves ready, because facing with doctor, and we don't have to make ourselves excuse the politicians and them, because Satan doesn't have them in a ball already, and it's just to let go his anger in them to do what these the Catholic people and them do. Thank you.
Right? So
one of the top cardinals responsible for running a corn ring. Right? A corn ring, and that was only corn. But they actually filmed it and they were sending it around to various dioceses. Various bishops and all of them. Because look at these big names in the family, the little children, and in the other people also. All of them suddenly just disappear. Nobody can find their use. The house is abandoned. Because the Vatican already threw him out in the Vatican. And that man supposed to have charges coming up on him in America. Now the other bad one, already they're looking to throw him out too. Just study global warming. They didn't even study Jesus Christ, they will study who? Global warming. You look at that.
And as we went through just now, Saint Francis of Assisi is canonized as a saint, a sodomite in the Catholic Church. Canonized, as a saint, right? So, amid all the doom and gloom of papal supremacy, there was still light in the darkness. Amen. Right? There was still light in the darkness. Now, the Waldenses had a particular motto or what word. It was lux lucis in tenebris. It means light glows in the darkness. So this is taken from Ellen G. White, The Great Controversy, page 26. This is the chapter with the Waldenses, right? It says, amid the gloom that settled upon the earth, during the long period of papal supremacy, the light of truth could not be wholly extinguished. And I say amen to that. Amen. In every age, there were witnesses for God. It was the policy of Rome to obliterate every trace of dissent from her doctrine or decree. No church within the limits of Roman jurisdiction was long left undisturbed in the enjoyment of freedom of conscience. So these Christians, amid all the doom and the gloom, these Christians were light in the darkness. But the Church of Rome, no church within her jurisdiction was left to enjoy freedom of conscience. They had to get rid of them. Right? She says, the same Great Controversy, page 27, she says, a striking contrast was presented. The latter, which is the Waldenses Christians, they were simple, they were humble, and scriptural in character, doctrine, and manners. While the former, the Roman Catholic Church, manifested the superstition, the pomp, the arrogance of popery. The emissary of Rome demanded that these Christians acknowledge the supremacy of the sovereign pontiff. So, over the years, Christians who were fleeing from persecution, there was some Christians, apostolic Christianity, that settled somewhere in Britain, right? Somewhere in Britain. But they encountered persecution, so they had to flee to certain lands like Scotland, like Ireland, right? And in Scotland, in Iona, they set up a school, and from there they would send out missionaries. So missionaries went to Germany, other places in Britain, and Italy, right? And with Rome, where the papacy is. So, you know, and amongst those Christians who settled in Britain, there was a Sabbath keeper, right? So the people got the truth about the 7-day Sabbath, right? So Rome now encountered these primitive Christians, and they had to do something about it. She also says in same Great Controversy, page 27, she says, but of those who resisted the encroachment of papal power, the Waldenses stood foremost. In the very land where popery had fixed its seats, there its falsehood and corruption were most steadfastly resisted. For centuries, the churches of Piedmont maintained their independence. So these are the Waldensian Christians. Out of all the Christians that were spreading, the Waldenses stood rigorously and steadfastly opposing the authority of the supremacy of the Roman Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Pontiff, right? They would go around, they would do missionary work, they started up, they were preaching in the public, and they were against the errors of the Catholic Church, right? So before we move on, I'll just show a small video giving a summary of who were the Waldenses.
Whilst the Celtic Church was maintaining the pure apostolic faith in the British Isles and evangelizing there as well, the Waldensians were doing the same here in northern Italy. The word Waldensian means people of the valleys. Originally though, in Italian, it was Valenses with a V. It was translated into the French as Vaudois. But in the 12th century, the V changed to a W, and one of the L's became a D, from where we get the name Waldensian today. The Waldensians did not see themselves as reformers. They did not see themselves as needing to separate from Rome, for they said, we have never belonged to it. They said they are part of the apostolic faith and could trace their origins all the way back to the early centuries. In fact, when we look at the history of the Waldensians over several hundred years, if not millennia, we can see that they were around in the very early centuries, in the 4th century with Vigilantes. We can see them in the 7th, the 8th, the 9th century. Some people say that the first Waldensian was Peter Waldo in the 12th century, but this is not really accurate. Whilst it is true that Peter Waldo was a merchantman from Lyon, he did sell all of his goods and commit his life to the preaching of the gospel. He was not the first Waldensian, and their roots trace back much before him. In fact, one of the early names for the Waldensians was actually the word insabati, showing clearly that the Waldensians were Sabbath keepers, as they were named after the very day upon which they worshipped. As the Waldensians were coming up in the early centuries, and the Roman Catholic Church was forming as well, both of them saw the heathens around them as a mission field. But whilst the Roman Catholic Church used the power of the law and the sword and political alliances to win people over, the Waldensians put their faith in the strength of God's word. When you gaze on the magnificent mountains that surround us, you cannot but admit that God provided a safe retreat for his people. To the Waldensians was given the task of passing the light on to the Protestants of modern time and penetrating the darkness with true Bible doctrine. Indeed, they maintained longer than any group in the struggle to preserve the Bible and primitive Christianity. In upcoming episodes, we're going to see the caves in which they hid and where they met for worship. We're going to see the places where they trained their young people in how to study the Bible and in how to be missionaries. We're also going to climb mountains and see the cliffs over which the Waldensians were hurled to their death in times of persecution. Truly, the Waldensians stand to us today as a group of people who believed in the Bible, as a group of people who believed in mission service. They are a key part of our spiritual lineage today.
I'll read a small quote here from History of the Waldenses by James Wiley, page 3. Now we will be going to a lot of quotations from Sister White and from other historians. So this is taken from James Wiley, page 3. The History of the Waldenses. Now James Wiley has a lot of books, a lot of volumes, I think about 16 or more volumes, called the History of Protestantism, right? And one of the volumes is the History of the Waldenses. Now this book, for those who are interested, it is very nice to read because in history the Catholic Church has sort of blotted out any records, any kind of information about the Waldenses. But this guy here, James Wiley, he wrote a book, he wrote everything about it. Where they lived, how they operate, how they were persecuted and all these things, right? So James Wiley, History of the Waldenses, page 3. He is commenting on their antiquity, where they came from, right? How old or how far back we can trace them. He says, there is a singular concurrence of evidence in favor of their high antiquity. Their traditions invariably point to an unbroken descent from the earliest times as regards to their religious belief. So yes, there were particular people in France called the Waldenses, but their religious belief can be traced back to the earliest times in Christianity, right? The Nobler Lacon, they have a document they wrote called the Nobler Lacon, meaning the noble lesson. They wrote out a long explanation of what they believe from the beginning with Adam and Eve straight down to the end. Right? They wrote down a lot of things of what they believed as a people. So the Nobler Lacon, which dates from the year 1100, goes to prove that the Waldenses of Piedmont did not owe their rise to Peter Waldo of Lyons, who did not appear until the later half of that century, which is the 12th century. He says on another page, page 4, he says, their greatest enemies, Claude Cecil of Turin and Renerius. Now Renerius was a Waldense before, but apparently he converted to Catholicism when it had some public debates. And he became their enemy, right? He had to go around when it had the Inquisition, and he would write down and record all the things that happened. So these people, here's what he says. These people have admitted their antiquity, admitted the Waldenses' antiquity, meaning how old they were as a religion, and stigmatized them as the most dangerous of all heretics because the most ancient. So even their own enemies who were Roman Catholics at the time while they were being persecuted says that these Waldenses were the most dangerous heretics because they were the most ancient. So the Waldenses did not start from Peter Waldo. Their religious beliefs stem from early Christianity. Right, brethren? So, the Waldenses, right, so the Waldenses, again, they were known in France as the Bourgeois people. Other names they went by is Insabati, showing they kept the Sabbath. Some historians say Insabati comes from the word Sabot, S-A-B-O-T, which is a type of shoes which they wore. Nonsense. Some researchers try to separate them from Sabbath keeping. They were known for being Sabbath keeping people, but some people, there are Waldensian churches that exist today, but they are not the true Waldenses that existed before. They are the ones that compromised, because during this time, there were the ones that kept the truth and there were the ones that recanted and joined the Catholic Church, right? So, the false Waldenses today exist and they are Sunday keepers and they belong to the World Council of Churches today, right? So some people, I was reading this guy trying to oppose the fact that the Waldenses kept the Sabbath. He wrote to some of the people, some of the leaders in the Waldensian churches today and asked him if they ever kept the Sabbath, and the man said no, right? Which is not true, right? So they kept the 7-day Sabbath, and that is one of the leading oppositions that they gave to the Roman Catholic Church, right? So here are some of their beliefs. Here are some of their beliefs. I'll read a quote first from Ellen G. White, The Great Controversy, page 28, again it's in chapter with the Waldenses. It says, among the leading causes that had led the separation of the true church from Rome, so hear this, listen to this. One of the leading causes that separated the true church from Rome is the hatred of the latter Rome to the Bible Sabbath. Remember all the heads that we went through so far. It was with the Catholic Church exalting Sunday and doing away with the 7-day Sabbath, and also exalting their seat and their authority throughout the years we went. That is what we have been going through throughout all the heads that we went through so far. So she says that Rome, what separated the early and the true church from Rome is Rome's hatred to the 7-day Sabbath. As foretold, she continues, as foretold by prophecy, the papal power cast down the truth to the ground. The law of God was trampled in the dust, while the traditions and customs of men were exalted. The churches that were under the rule of the papacy were compelled, listen to this, they were compelled to honor Sunday as a holy day. Amid the prevailing error and superstition, many, even of the true people of God, became so bewildered that while they observed the Sabbath, they refrained from labor also on a But they refrained from working on a Sunday to avoid, persecution. But that wasn't enough. It was not enough for the Catholic pontiffs. It says, they demanded not only that Sunday be hallowed to be kept holy as the Sabbath, but that the Sabbath should be profaned. And they denounced in the strongest language those who dare to show its honor. It was only by fleeing from the power of Rome that any could obey God's law in peace. The leading causes for these people to run to the mountains and run to the valleys was the Catholic Church hatred of the 7-day Sabbath. And that is important. So, here is some other things that they believed, and we have to wrap up here for today, right? Here are some other things that they believed. They believed in the atonement. Now you can get this. There's a document called the Nobler Lacon. That is a statement of their beliefs. Or it is easily available online, a PDF version, right? So they believed the atonement, death, and justifying righteousness of Christ. Now remember, today we have the truth in its purity. Right, we have it clear. We can explain clearly what is justification. We can explain clearly who God is, what is the Godhead, how He dwells in the three persons. We can't explain that today because God has given us life. But these people, they may not have had that much life. Because remember, the Bible was not available. They were not printing machines. If you have a small piece of paper, listen. If you had a small piece of paper like this with one text on it, you would be killed, and this would be burned. Every copy of the Bible was burned. It was destroyed, and they didn't have nice paper like we have today. They had very feeble parchments, right? And the Bible was only available in Latin, the Latin Vulgate, what we know today. So the Waldenses had to write it over in their own tongue. Line by line, verse by verse. Some of us don't even want to read our Bibles, we're collecting dust. Right? So these are some of the beliefs that they had. They believed, and remember, they were opposing the errors of the Catholic Church, right? So they believed in the atoning death and justifying righteousness of Christ. They believe you confess your sins to Christ and not to the popes and the priests. That is what they believed, and they preached that to people. They believe that it is Christ that forgives your sins, not any pope, not any priest. They believed in the Godhead. They taught the divinity or the substantial, impersonal being of God, meaning He is not a person, as opposed to the Trinity. Now they may not have had the Godhead clear, but they were opposing the Trinity of the Catholic Church and thought that He was not a person, right? Yes. Because we know that God is one, what? Divine, Spirit, nature, law. And we have scriptures to prove it. Amen. Right? They believed in the fall of man. They said the fall of man is disobedience to God's law, as opposed to the original sin of the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church teaches original sin. When Adam and Eve fall, they have some kind of thing in their nature that corrupted with sin. Some kind of thing in their nature, their human nature, that is corrupted with sin. That's what the Catholic Church teaches, and many other so-called Protestants today. But they thought that when Adam and Eve sinned, they were disobedient. Sin is disobedience. It is your choice, not your sin nature, original sin. They taught that. They also taught the incarnation of the Son of God. They denied purgatory. The denial of purgatory, they said it is an invention of the Antichrist. I love these people. I was eager to reach this part of the sermons, right? They denied purgatory. They said it is an invention of the Antichrist. So true. There's no imaginary place for somebody burning. That they could pay for them and they wake their way to heaven. Nonsense. Right? They valued voluntary poverty, opposing the rich, greedy lifestyle of the Catholic clergy. They scoffed at the doctrine of transubstantiation. transubstantiation is when the priest says, hoc est corpus meum, and that bread literally turns into God. The Waldenses said that is nonsense. Nonsense. They said that holy water was not a whit more efficacious than rainwater. Holy water, rainwater, same thing. You can use rainwater. They said that the relics is bones and different things that they get from their saints and people, some kind of superstitious belief they carry on, they feel they have some kind of protection. The Waldenses said relics were simply rotten bones which belongs to God knows who. They say to go to pilgrimage, it serves no end save to empty your purse. They say praying in a band was just as effective as if you offer it in a church. So you don't have to depend on the priest and them, right? Yes. And they also said that the Catholic Church is the harlot of the apocalypse. That's the whole in Revelation 17. They said that the Catholic Church is that, and it is true. Yes. They rejected the idolatry in the Catholic Church. And they also said that the papacy is the antichrist of Rome. They sound just like us today. Right? So, sorry? Yes, look how long ago. So, brethren, these people were like Thusians. They stood against the errors of the Catholic Church, and they were brutally murdered for it. Right? In Nobla Lakon. Right? So, just as a little appetizer of what we will be going into, I prepared a short video to show you, where they live, the different houses and their colleges, in the mountains and the passages where they had to run and hide and caves and so on. Let's look at a short little video and we'll have to wrap up here today and we'll continue next week, please God. Right?
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
for next week, please God, and all the things that they did and how they were persecuted, right? But so far, the Alps that you saw there, the Alps is a wide range of mountains covering about 8 or 9 different countries in France, Germany, right? France, Germany, and other countries, right? So the Waldenses, they were in France. So the Alps that you saw there is in France. There's also in Italy as well, right? So they had to run to those mountains and those valleys. They had to build those stone houses that you are seeing there. They had to build their houses. They had to labor and use the soil to get their food, right? And this college that you saw there is where they have to sit down and write out word by word the Bible. Their children were trained to memorize scriptures and to learn the truth. The cave that you saw, that was their church / hideout. They would have to hide out there, and they would have to keep their churches there as well, right? So these are the experiences of these people that Pope Innocent III, so-called Saint Dominic de Guzman, was responsible for brutally murdering these Christians. We will also go into the torture methods that were used on these people by so-called Pope Innocent and Dominic de Guzman, right? So, brethren, right? So, what we went through today is an introduction into the Innocentinian Head. We started the Innocentinian Head, and the Innocentinian Head is the fifth head. The Innocentinian is the fifth head of the 7 heads of the papacy. And it starts off with Pope Innocent III. And the name Innocent does not in no way denote the type of person he is. Right? Under him was the Dominican order and the Franciscan order was established. The Dominican order was with Dominic de Guzman, who carried out, as explained before, the murderous persecution of the Albigenses and the Waldenses. And St. Francis of Assisi, he brought extreme poverty to the church to counteract the Waldenses, and he brought sodomy in the church clergy, right? And this is the start of the Innocentinian Head of the papacy. And under Dominic de Guzman was persecuted the Waldenses and the Albigenses, that we just saw some of their homes and where they lived, right? So that was the beginning of the Catholic Church, and that is the beginning of Satan's war against those early Protestants. All in all, remember, behind all of this is Satan once again exalting the supremacy of the Catholic Church. These Christians had to bow to the supremacy of the Roman pontiff. Right? So we'll close up here today, and we'll continue next week, please God. Right? Say something? Sorry, go ahead. Say something? Yeah.
Not too long ago, it's about 2 months now. I want to stand up here to say that. That comes in my mind. I say it's about 2 months now that is in my head to say something concerning that. Now, Brother Madina repeat the word twice as Sabbath, different days, right? He says that he can see that the world taking too long again, maybe about 24, 25, right? About 20, 24, 25, right? And I keep a record in my head since 1995, right? A Sunday that one of the spokesmen on the radio, right, repeat the amount of Palm Sundays, right? He says today Palm Sunday is 1,995 Palm Sundays, right? And I keep that record in my head. I said to myself, it wasn't Palm Sunday, no, it was Palm Sabbath, when Jesus rode through Jerusalem, going to the synagogue on the Sabbath day, right? And that was the last Sabbath he preached in the synagogue, right? And he denounced war unto the Israelites because they refused it, right? And I've been checking from there, come up, right? And we in 2018 now, right? 2018. So we only have 2 years again, right? 2018, making 2,000 years, right? Jesus was 33 years when he died, right? So I put it 33 years after. And I could remember a few years, Mr. Manning said he wanted to make Trinidad a unified state. What do they call it again? When you write up. Like America and them states now. Of course, both, right? 2020. So I asked myself, what is the meaning of that? But then I get to know what is the meaning, right? And brethren, take Brother Man in our word as he said it, right? If 2020 is 2,000 years, the last 2,000 years, which means we only have 2 days again for the Sabbath to step in. The Vatican speeding up the process and putting things in place, which maybe many of us don't know. But thank God to him bringing out some of it, right? Right now, the people that's in charge of YouTube and other Facebook business planning to shut down some of the religion statement that making, you see they put here on the agenda already with one book, right? And we only have 2 years again. Take it or believe it or don't believe it. We have 2 years again free time in this world. When 2020, the planning that the coming out is something 2020, it's a secret. We don't know whether it is the National Sunday Law that might come out. But in my understanding that 2020 is the Friday and 21 begin the Sabbath to come. The Vatican, the priest, the Pope said by 2030 he wants everything to go smooth, right? To go smooth so that he will sit as a queen and enjoy life. Right, 2020, we have 3 years of the oblation, 3 years and a half, right? 3 days and a half. Each day comprises a year. So 21, 22, 23, 24, that is 3 years and a half. We don't know when Jesus is coming, right? We don't know when he's coming, but it gives us a little knowledge and science, right? Knowledge and science and the things that are taking place in the Vatican now, right? We see all the rockets, signs are seen coming out. All these things have to come out. In my opinion, we are a little group here, and what I was thinking that we don't have to sit down and wait for Satan to come and kill us, because Sister White tells us when this thing happening, we have to run in the woods. Those of us that will escape. Now, when the National Sunday Law come out, right, some will get the news before some. So what I was thinking, everybody here should have one another phone number, right? Because we ain't dying, you know. Look at all in here. Everybody young. Everybody living the next 5-6 years. I live in the next 5-6 years. I'm healthy enough to live another 5-6 years, right? And that time, when we will be going in the market to buy nothing or buying things from the state, take it from me. You understand? We have to face it just like you teach these people and them day. So I was saying that each and every one of us must have one another phone number in case when this thing come up, because it will come up like when they are Hitler. When Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews, they do it secretly in the night, and it's only some of the people that had one another phone number who could have gone during the night and tell this one and tell that one and tell that one. So some of them could have escaped, right? So I am saying we must keep our phone number to ourselves. Let each and every one of us have one another phone number and get together to affiliate with one another so that when the crisis come out, we could call our brother and sister, tell them, tell this one and tell this one. Because somehow, just now, we have to make it for the main mountain and we have to get in contact with one another. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Brethren, essence what the brother is saying, you know the Bible says no man knoweth the day nor the hour. However, signs foretell. We know this Pope have to go because he's a leftist. You can't have an image to the beast with a leftist Pope. He will only push national socialism. Right? So this Pope have to go, and plenty leaders in the Catholic Church is calling for him to resign. So we know once he resigns, and given the video that we went through earlier, in the early part of the study exposing the pedophilia in the Catholic Church, seeing that all these things are being exposed with all the different news and with the Attorney General in Pennsylvania. Seeing that all these things are, all these sins of the Catholic Church are being exposed. Once this Pope resigns, we know the other Pope that comes, he will do his best to raise back up the standard of the Catholic Church that they wanted to have before, right? Because to make an image of the BC Catholic Church has to have some kind of influence, right? So, brethren, as the brother said, time is late, and we have to encourage each other to be prepared for the end. Right? And as we go through the world and see, you will see things about your own self. Am I disciplined as these people? Do I study my Bible? Am I preparing my mind for persecution? Because even though some people are part of the 144, you cannot wish or want to be part of the 144 because you are afraid to die. Yeah? Don't say I want to be part of the 144,000 because you are afraid to die. No. The 144,000 have to have a martyr mindset. You have to be willing to die for Christ. Right? And you have to have a mind to endure global catastrophes. You have to have a mind, you know what it is to stand up here and see a global earthquake. The orbit of the earth will be shifting. People in Trinidad, bodies in Trinidad will be somewhere in Germany. The earth, the God Bible says, the earth will reel to and fro like a drunkard. God will flip the earth upside down, Isaiah 24. But then that is not true, okay? If you think about the normal earthquakes you feel today and how you feel, how you are, and think about if you can endure and keep the faith during a global earthquake. Right? So the point is we have to be prepared for the end. Right? So we'll have to close off now. So please let's bow our heads. We have to close off now. Please bow our heads for a word of prayer. Our Father which art in heaven, Yahweh who art God alone, as we come before you once again, thank you very much for the opportunity to learn the truth, the opportunity to expose the devil where he has given the papacy his seat and has worked throughout history to exalt his seat to make it so influential that it can kill out so many of your people and force the world to acknowledge its supremacy. Thank you for the opportunity to learn these things. Give us the principles of truth that will strengthen us to face these very same things in the future so that we can glorify you to be God alone. As we go through the rest of the Sabbath, they continue to bless us with many wonderful truths and help us to appreciate these things and allow you to change us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen.